Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited for you to be here today for our Sage Center Day and Speaker Series event. Today, I'm going to introduce to you Princess Sarah Culberson. Princess Sarah has an extraordinary journey that has been featured on CNN, GMA, BBC, among numerous other publications worldwide, which has trended #1 globally in over 60 countries. She is an internationally known thought leader, artist, and educator whose work addresses biracial and cultural identity and raises awareness of issues impacting Sierra Leone. She shared the story of reuniting with her birth father in A Princess Found, an American family, an African chiefdom, and the daughter who connected them all, co-authored with Tracy Trivas and published by St. Martin's Press. A Princess Found is now being adapted into a major motion picture for Disney Studios by award-winning filmmaker Stephanie Elaine. Princess Sarah and her brother, Hindu Joseph Kopaspa, excuse me if I mispronounced that, founded the nonprofit Sierra Leone Rising, which provided clean water drinking, sanitary pads for girls, education, medical attention, resources to build schools and technology centers, and more through Sierra Leone. Her work in business and technology has led her to create upcoming projects, including an animation show with Regina King and Randy Jackson, as well as a Roblox game to connect and educate children about cultures around the world. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Princess Sarah Culberson.
Hi. How y'all doing? It's so good to be with all of you. I love being with students. It's so awesome. And you know, we drove down from LA, and I was so worried that it was going to be cold. And you all were going to be like, who are we going to be listening to outside in the cold? Why are we coming outside? Were you feeling that a little bit? Yes? Come on, I would feel that way. But I actually want to make this worth your time, and we're gonna have a lot of fun together. So we're gonna go on a journey today from West Virginia to West Africa. Does that sound good? Yes? Okay, so I'm an interactive speaker, so I might be checking in with you from time to time. West Virginia to West Africa. So we're gonna start from the beginning, because we're all outside. Normally I have these visuals for you to see these hilarious childhood photos, but I'm gonna create them for you. So I was adopted when I was 1 year old by Dr. Jim and Judy Culberson in Morgantown, West Virginia. Did any of you know where West Virginia is? Raise your hands. You're like, all your teachers are like, you better raise your hands, right? Morgantown, West Virginia. And so I was adopted there, and I have my parents who first adopted me, an all-white family. And my sisters wanted me to meet all the neighborhood girls. So they said, come here, come here, come here. You gotta see my new little baby sister, Sarah. You gotta see my new little baby sister, Sarah. So all the neighborhood girls came running, and they sat in this big circle. And Catherine Morgan, now my sister Laura, blonde hair, green eyes, she was 10. My sister Lynn, dark hair, big glasses, she was 11. And Catherine Morgan looked over at me and looked at my sister. So I'm one with the big girls sitting there in the circle. And Catherine Morgan said, no, wait a second. Is she black, or does she just have a really good tan? This is Morgan, you can laugh, no worries. This is Morgantown, West Virginia, 3% African American, and they hadn't seen very many kids of color in the neighborhood. And my sister Lynn said, this is my new little baby sister, Sarah. She's part West African and part white American. And they go, oh, okay. So I was getting to know the kids in the neighborhood, growing up, getting to know my family, and then something else interesting happened. When I was first adopted, my mom called my grandmother to tell them that they had adopted me. And the call went a little bit like this. Mom, we adopted this new little girl, Sarah. She's really cute. She's got all this curly hair. We can't wait to come home to Illinois this summer so you can meet her. Hello? Hello? And there was silence on the other end of the line. And my grandmother said, Judy, I think adopting this black little girl into the family is only going to cause problems, and I don't want to talk to you about it. Click. And she hung up on my mom. Now, my mom, being the about 5'2", really powerful, mighty woman that she always was, said, you know what? We're all going to get in the car this summer and go see my mom, because I'm tired of these assumptions she's making. And she's going to have to deal with this. So we all got in the car, Mom, Dad, Lynn, Laurie, Benji, our dog, a poodle, and we drove all the way to Litchfield, Illinois that summer to see my grandparents. And we drive up the windy road to the farmhouse where my mom grew up. And my grandmother comes out of the farmhouse, the door kind of screeches open. She walks out with her arms crossed. She looks at me. She looks away. Then she looks back at me and she says, "Can I hold her?" And in that moment, my mom said I was breaking racial barriers within my own family. So I was getting to know my family, got to feed the chickens on the farm with my grandma, and got to ride in the dairy truck with my grandpa, still eating a lot of ice cream to this day because of that. But I got to know my whole family. And then growing up in West Virginia was interesting because I didn't look like everyone. It's not always easy when you don't look like everyone surrounding you. And sometimes it can be challenging. So name it, I did it. I was the overachiever from middle school all the way through high school and so on. So I played basketball, varsity basketball, state track meet, student body president, class president, always great grades, full scholarship to college, then went to one of the top 6 graduate schools in my industry. Boom to boom to boom to boom. So everyone would like me and no one would leave me. Trying to fit in sometimes can be exhausting. So I went on to college, and then I moved to Los Angeles, where I started doing TV and film. And did any of you, I'm going to take us back for a second, have any of you watched the reruns? I know you're all in high school, but the reruns of, what was the show? I won't remember it. My background is in dance, thus all the twirls. Okay. Secret Life of the American Teenager. Okay, I hear a O. One person and all of you have watched it? That's okay. Anyway, I played, I didn't mean to call you out, not to embarrass you. It's a good show. Thank you for watching. It's reruns, and I played the doctor on the show. So I played the doctor on that show for a while. Go back to first season. Yep, thanks. Now I feel extra special. We have a bond. Y'all haven't seen it yet? Anyway, so I moved to Los Angeles, where I started doing TV and film. And as I was there, I said to myself, I want to know more about my biological roots. I want to know more about medical history. I wanted to know more about who do I look like? And because growing up, I didn't really look like everyone around me. And I wanted to know more about who I was. So I was in Los Angeles, and this amazing woman, I started to do TV and film, and she said, you know what, in order to fit into the TV and film community, you need to do this to your hair. Like, straighten your hair, look like everyone on television. Do this, fit into this category. Do this, fit into that category. And I was kind of tired of that. So my friend told me about this amazing class called Landmark Worldwide, and I did this class. He worked for Microsoft, branched off, started his own company. And I said, well, I want to do this. Maybe this could advance my acting career. So I go to do this class. I'm sitting there in the class, and they said, tell the person next to you where you're holding back in life. And I was sitting next to my friend Art, and I said, hey, Art, I'm terrified to find my birth father. Now, what I didn't realize when I went into this class is that I was really angry. Sometimes it's easier to be angry than to really deal with what's going on inside. So I was just angry, but I didn't know I was angry. But when I did the course, I realized I was really, really angry at my birth father. Well, where were you? You know, like my birth mother took care of me for 9 months. Then where were you? Didn't you care? Now, this was what was going on in my mind. My assumptions were right. You know how sometimes your assumptions, you're just right? Yes? We don't always challenge our assumptions sometimes. Well, in that class, I challenged my assumptions, and I said, well, what was it like for an African man from Sierra Leone to come to the United States, go to college, meet a white woman, and have a child, and it was a surprise in a state like West Virginia, where it really wasn't very accepted to have a multiracial couple. I said, maybe I should give this guy a break. And the moment I did that, and I let go of that anger, this whole new world opened up. Now, the fear was there. Well, what if he doesn't want to meet me? What if he doesn't want to talk to me? But I said, I don't want to be 60 or 70 or 80 someday and it's too late to try to find him. I got to do this. And I'm really committed when we're afraid sometimes, like step into that fear. And when I did that, my friend said, I know a private investigator who won't charge you more than $100. Your birth father's going to love you. Called the private investigator, 3 hours, all the information I needed for not thousands of dollars like I thought, but $100. I wrote a letter to Marilyn when we used to write letters. This is back in 2004. Mailed it off because they said, don't make a phone call because if you call a birth parent sometime or a first parent, they freak out and hang up. So why don't you just write a letter? So I wrote a letter, mailed it to Marilyn, and I said, okay, if my birth father wants to meet me, great. If he doesn't, that's okay. Now, I had found out that my birth mother had passed away of cancer when I would have been about 11, so I didn't get a chance to meet her. But I got to see pictures and hear stories, and we had the same crooked tooth, and that was really fun. But I also wanted to know more about my birth father. So I mailed that letter off. 4 days later, I get a phone call. And there's this woman on the other line, and she says, hello, Sarah. This is Evelyn. How are you? And I thought, is this a Jamaican woman I met the other day? Because I couldn't get the dialect, and I wasn't expecting to hear from anybody so soon. She said, I'm your auntie. We received your letter. And I started to bawl. I said, thank you so much for calling. I didn't know if I would ever hear from you. I didn't know if I would ever see you. She said, Sarah, I was there when you were born. I used to take care of you when your birth mother would go to the grocery store. She said, hold on, let me get your uncle on the phone. And then my uncle gets on the phone. He goes, oh, Sarah! It's like, whoa. I said, whoa. He says, we are so happy you've been found. You know who you are? And I was like, I'm Sarah? He says, you are part of a royal family. Your great-grandfather was a paramount chief in Sierra Leone. Your grandfather was a paramount chief in Sierra Leone. Your grandfather was knighted Justice of the Peace by the Queen of England. Our family runs a chiefdom of 70,000. You can be chief someday. You are a princess in this country. I was on the phone like, wait, what? Princess? Does that mean I have to be perfect? I can never say a bad word. Do I always have to wear dresses? You know, all these assumptions and fears came back up. What does this mean? They said, we're going to contact your father in Sierra Leone. He's going to be so happy to meet you. So they contact my father in Sierra Leone, and it takes them 2 weeks to get message from village to village to village because in Sierra Leone, there are many people in 2004 didn't have access to cell phones. So a privilege to have a cell phone. That's something that I learned when traveling to Sierra Leone. So they get message from village to village to village, and during the 2 weeks of them getting message from village to village, I start getting phone calls from all of these different African family members who live in the United States. Hello, Sarah. I'm your Uncle Ali, your father's favorite uncle. Hello, Sarah. I'm your Auntie Jenny. They used to call your father and me twins when we were little. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. All of these different African family members are welcoming me to the family when I thought they're not going to want to talk to me, they're not going to want to see me, but it was this beautiful family homecoming. My assumptions were so wrong. And then as the 2 weeks went by after that, who called me? Hello? Who called me? Who have I been waiting to talk to? Yes, you're with me. Thank you. Yeah, my birth father called. And I got to hear his voice for the first time. And the first thing he said is he said, please forgive me. I did not know how to find you after you had been placed in adoption. Your name had changed. Everything had changed. Your birth mother and I wanted to give you to a family who could really take good care of you. I was young, I was in college, and I said, listen, if there's a day that goes by that you feel guilty, please don't. You gave me the best family in the world. And I love them so much. And now I'm going to get to meet you too. This is awesome. How do we do this? He said, well, it's challenging for me to get a visa to come to the United States now. This was in 2004. He said, could you come here? I said, I would love to. So I flew to Maryland to meet all those African family members. You remember the ones, hello, Sarah, hello, Sarah, hello, Sarah, right? And we planned a trip for 6 months later to go to Sierra Leone. So we fly to Sierra Leone. I get off the airplane and I'm walking down on the tarmac. And let me tell you something. I was so nervous and I was so scared. Because here I am, there's one thing to talk about it. There's one thing to say, oh, I want to do something. There's another thing to actually do it and show up. That's one of the things I've also learned, showing up, the importance of just showing up. And so I got off the airplane, walking down the stairs, and I'm on the tarmac, and my father's standing there, my birth father, and I'm seeing his face for the first time. I am so nervous. I am so scared. And then I see his eyes, and I can see how nervous and scared he is. And I walk up to him, and I give him a big hug. And his eyes are looking at me as if they're saying, please like me, please accept me, please like me. And I say, it's so good to finally meet you. And he said, it's so good to finally meet you too. And he takes my hand, and we walk out, and my Aunt Amy, the chief's wife, is standing there. She says, turn around, girl, let me look at you, let me look at you. So I turn around, and she gives me a big hug, and we take a ferry that night from Lungay to Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. And we're there in Freetown, and we stay in this small hotel because the next day, we're going to travel on the bumpy roads to Boompay, my family's village. But that night, we stay in the hotel, and I'm kind of reflecting on everything. I can't believe that I'm here. I can't believe that I took this step. I'm so nervous, but I'm here, and I'm doing this. The next morning, there was a knock at the door, and it was my birth father. And he said, Sarah, I would love for you to wear this green African dress into our family's village tomorrow. So he gave me this beautiful green African dress, and he had a matching green shirt. And I was like, okay, cool. We're going to be twins. This is great. So I put on the dress, he had a matching shirt, and we went on the bumpy roads to Boompay, my family's village. We're driving along the roads in the village, and it takes us 6 hours to get there on these bumpy roads, because a lot of these roads aren't paved. And we go on these bumpy roads, and we arrive in Boompay, and this young boy comes running up alongside the car, and he's wearing all white, and he's running really fast, and then he runs up ahead, and I'm thinking, what's he doing? And then all of a sudden I see 10, 20, 100, 200, hundreds of people singing and dancing, welcoming me to my family's village. And then all of a sudden, everyone parts, and all the women of the village come forward wearing the same green dress that I had been given that morning. And they're singing. They're singing, "Pada-tang, tang, tang, pada-tang, tang, tang, pada-do-a-do way, Puda Sarah go to." They're singing in Mende, my family's language. We're preparing for Sarah. I've never met anybody there in my entire life, and I was literally pinching myself. I was like, is this really happening? And my uncle takes me and brings me up to the front, and we sit, it's almost like this. It's kind of amazing. We were sitting like this. All the people from the village were in this big circle. This is actually exactly like what it was, with the green in the middle. And then there was a huge table in the front with all the section chiefs who report to my uncle from all the different parts of our family's chiefdom. And we're all here at the big table. I'm sitting here with them in the green, and then this beautiful young woman comes walking over across the green right to me, and she says, "Hello, Sarah. I'm your sister, Jenaba. Our brother Hindobe will be here tomorrow." So here I'm meeting my sister Jenaba, my brother Hindobe, my other sister Abby. They're all full African, and I'm meeting this whole family. And then my uncle stands up from the table up here and says, "Our daughter has come home, and she can be chief someday if she ever chooses to." Now, chief is very different in Sierra Leone. When you become chief and run a chiefdom, it's not like a presidency. It's not like a term. And you actually are chief until you die. So you can be your chief your entire lifetime. And it's a huge responsibility. Now, there's one thing to hear that on the phone. It's a whole nother ball game to hear that in front of all these people. I was kind of overwhelmed, but I was like, okay, here we go. I'm here. So they did dances, performances, children singing and dancing on this big green, just like this. Performances, performances. And then the excitement started to die down. And then I started to see, after the celebrations over several days, I started to see what happened during 11-year civil war in Sierra Leone from 1991 to 2002. Now, this is an older movie, but by raising your hands, have any of you seen or know about the movie Blood Diamonds? Have any of you seen it? Okay, can I ask you a question if you don't mind shouting out, whoever does or doesn't? What do you remember, what's one thing you remember about that movie? Do you remember anything about the movie? You can shout it out. Anybody? What's it about? No one wants to talk out loud. I know sometimes. Okay. Well, let's guess. It's called Blood Diamonds. So what's it about? Diamonds. Thank you. So it's about diamonds, right? So the RUF, the Revolutionary United Front, it's kind of a little history moment, came in and they decided they wanted to protect Sierra Leone from all the diamonds leaving the country because the diamonds were being sold thousands upon thousands, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 for these diamonds. And the people in the community who were mining these diamonds with mud up to their waist were getting, what do you think they might get for a diamond? Thank you for shouting. $40? A bag of rice. That's what they got. They got a bag of rice. And the RUF, the Revolutionary United Front, were like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I am tired of having all of this money going out of the country. We want to keep the money here. So the Revolutionary United Front started pushing out all of these diamond companies. But they didn't only do that, but then became a little corrupt because Charles Taylor, the former president of Liberia, said, hey, listen, if you give me some of these diamonds and some of this money, I'll help you take over the entire country. So that's what happened. From 1991 to 2002, Sierra Leone was in a war. So while I was on the homecoming court in West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia, simultaneously, the child soldiers, which you may have studied about in history, the child soldiers were scouting the village to attack. We were having a very different lives going on. So the child soldiers were scouting. So that's one of the things that happened during the war. So they wanted all the diamonds to stay in the country, and that wasn't happening. They became very corrupt, and they took over, and they started killing people, and they started having these children, these young boys, as they were the soldiers. And when I was there, from 1991 to 2002, I was there in 2004, I saw the remnants of this 11-year civil war. The boarding school that my family ran, and kids came all the way from Nigeria to go to this school, had been destroyed during this war. People had lost arms, lost legs. It wasn't the Blood Diamonds movie that I could just press pause on and turn off on my TV. I'm there, and this is my family. And I wasn't about to come back to the United States and just keep acting and dance in a professional dance company. And I was like, no. I got to figure out, I got to do something. But I didn't study. What do? I didn't study like public policy. I didn't study how to work in other countries, development. I didn't study any of this. What do I do? What do I know? And I came back and we started a nonprofit. I started to talk to people called Sierra Leone Rising. And we started doing work in public health, education, and female empowerment. And we started working with students and education. And have any of you heard of the Oakwood School in North Hollywood in LA? It's an independent school, like similar to this a little bit. But I went to the Oakwood School in North Hollywood with the book I co-wrote, and they said, can you actually work here part-time, and can you take the students to West Africa? And I said, really? You want to take the students to Sierra Leone? They said, we'd love to. So in 2011, I took a group of 8 high school students to Sierra Leone, and we started connecting and doing projects. And the students started to learn about clean drinking water and the privilege of having clean drinking water and how a lot of people didn't have access to clean drinking water. And then they started to learn about so many different things. And I think sometimes when we think about this was a service learning project, do you guys have hours that you have to meet for service learning? Yes? Raise your hand. Or no? Yes? Kind of? Okay. So There are sometimes service learning hours or service learning responsibilities that you go and you're like, okay, I'm going to go do this, complete what I need to do, can help out with my college application, peace out, I'm good, right? But there's also something that can actually really make a difference when you actually go and actually really look at what's happening in a community and really ask questions and really learn from the community. So I took these students, and this young girl named Catherine Bernstein, she said, I can share this story. So we were getting ready to go to Sierra Leone, and Catherine Bernstein said, Sarah, I'm really nervous. I've never left the country, and I'm afraid of bugs. And I said, oh, great. Everything is supersized in Sierra Leone. The snakes are big, the spiders are big, I don't know what's gonna happen. She goes, no, I do wanna go, but I'm really nervous. So we took these 8 students to Sierra Leone, and we get there, and we have the time of our lives. We're doing building projects, we're doing all these projects together, and then when we come back, they're learning Mende, they probably speak Mende better than I do. We're doing all these fun projects, and when we came back, Catherine came up to me and she said, you know, I wrote my college essay, and I never showed it to you. I said, oh, please show it to me. And I read it, and it was profound. The subject matter was, who's an influential person in your life? And she wrote about this little 9-year-old girl that she met on this trip to Sierra Leone. Now, Catherine, fast forward, got into Stanford University, which is where she wanted to go to school. And she is at Stanford University, and she reaches out to me again, and she says, so Sarah, I want to check in with you because we have a Peace Corps worker here on campus, and we'd like to connect Stanford University and some of our work here with the work in Sierra Leone. We actually would like to get a computer center started in the north part of Sierra Leone. And I said, what? That would be incredible. She said, can you connect me with your brother? My brother is an attorney in Sierra Leone and doing all kinds of projects there and running our nonprofit on the ground. So I connected her with Hindobe, my brother, and they start working on projects together. And this young girl and the Peace Corps worker and my brother and a team start building a computer center in the north part of Sierra Leone. Fast forward, they're doing that, 2 years go by, I get a text message, a WhatsApp, that's how I communicate with my family in Sierra Leone, and they said, they're talking about our computer center in the White House. And I said, whoa, wait, what? Our small computer center? And we have one in the north and now one in Boompay in the south, and they're talking about it in the in the White House? They said, yes, the Peace Corps workers, they're talking about this in the White House. I said, how is this possible? And my brother said, Catherine Bernstein, that young girl who went to Sierra Leone, who we thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a nightmare. She's afraid of bugs. She's never left the United States. This might be a nightmare. She ended up going to Sierra Leone, and it changed her life. And not only did it change her life, she changed others' lives by starting technology and having people start to connect and code and work together. So powerful. Not only did Catherine Bernstein come back and do that, Catherine Bernstein and a group of the other students came back and they said, we'd like to do a presentation, no joke, to the parent org to tell the parents about our experience in Sierra Leone. I said, okay, sure. Now, I didn't know what they were going to say, but I know that these students are incredible. So I sat back and I said, please do your presentation. So they put together a whole presentation with pictures and everything and telling all these wonderful stories. And then they stopped. And they said, now this is an independent school in Los Angeles like this one. She said, we break our iPhones at parties to get the new iPhone this, to get the new iPhone that. Now this is back in 2011 when she was presenting. And the room just froze, the parents froze. And she said, in Sierra Leone, kids are walking around, I'll use this as an example. We drink our water bottles in Sierra Leone, it's empty, but if you give it to a child in Sierra Leone, they are so excited. It's used as a toy. They can go to the pump and fill it up with water, and now it's like, it's so wonderful. They're excited, the kids are excited, things are great. She said, we have all these things in the United States, she said, and it's never enough. She said, what's going on with us? And she got really choked up in her presentation. And in that moment, one of the things that I really realized about working with community, and I use the word with for a very big reason, because often sometimes we think we might have more. I've done that before. So let me go help or let me go save. And what I realize is it's mutually beneficial for everyone to work together. And what if we work with community to try to move things forward? And that's what the students in Sierra Leone, the students that I took to Sierra Leone said. They said we were able to go do projects, but they said we got more out of this visit than we feel like we were ever able to give them. And it's something so interesting to think about. Like, how do we actually, when we do work in this world, how do we actually go in without just bringing in our assumptions about a community or a friend or somebody sitting beside us based on how they look, their socioeconomic class? What if we just went in with our assumptions and we actually questioned them? And we actually got to know a person or the community and started to really work together on something. You all are the next generation for what's happening in our world. And the more you take those kind of things on, the better this world will be. And I know you all are going to do it. I'm like looking in your eyes and imagining what you're all interested in life. But the working together and bringing your assumptions about each other and really challenging them is actually how things are going to shift in our world and how we're going to make it even better. So right now, my brother and I are going to be meeting. My uncle's the new president of the country in Sierra Leone, and so we're doing projects there. Additionally, the book that I co-wrote, A Princess Found, we're turning it into a Disney movie, which is really exciting. So we're actually going to have another Disney princess of color out there in the world, but it's going to be live action. If you all have any suggestions of who you think should play me, any actors out here? Any auditions? I'm ready for auditions. We're talking, people are like, I'm thinking. So we're talking to a lot of different people about the role and so on. But additionally, we're working on an animation. And these travels that I've done and learning about my family in Sierra Leone was a big part of me also learning about how much we don't know about each other and each other's cultures. And how sometimes we can make fun of each other's cultures, oh, blah, 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 or what is that food you're eating? Ew, and make fun of each other without even really knowing. So we're also creating an animation separately from the Disney movie with Regina King. Do you all know the actress Regina King who won an Academy Award a couple of years ago? Thank you, some people. Okay, you gotta look her up. She did One Night in Miami. She's in this other new show that she just did. But we're working on an animation and to have kids learn, like young people, not you all, but little kids learn about cultures around the world. So these two little kids travel, they're magical and they see what's happening in different parts of the world and they can teleport to India and they're gonna learn about Diwali. They're gonna teleport to Mexico and learn about Dia de los Muertos. They're going to teleport to China because this bad guy Zane is trying to take over the Chinese New Year. And so we already presented this episode, is going to try to take over the Chinese New Year, but the little kids from America with the kids in China are working together to help protect the Chinese New Year. Working together, right? No one's saving. Working together to actually help protect the culture. Because Zane is putting his face, the bad guy, on all the dragons during Chinese New Year. So I'm sharing all of this because we never know what service can do in the world. And whatever career you're doing, whatever you're taking on, whatever you're going to do next, think about how you can use it. Because all the work that I've been doing, I was like, oh, let's make an animation about this. Using my background and career in acting and theater and being able to put it in the world to actually make a difference. So no matter what you want to do, please think about how it could actually make a difference for a lot of other people. Because that's what I see your generation is going to do, is make a difference for a lot of people. So thank you for having me. So I want to pause and I want to ask a question. And don't feel obligated. I want to teach you a little Mende greeting. Mende is my family's language in Sierra Leone, and I want to teach it to you all. But I want to see if you feel comfortable. If not, that's totally okay. But could I have a volunteer to come up? Does anybody feel comfortable to come up? Right there, I see you first. Come on. Sorry, my head went that way. You want to come up too? Come up! Woo! Let's give them all a round of applause. I love these powerful people. Oh, let me put my mask on because we're close to each other. Okay. So, now the next question is, Erica, do you have the hand sanitizer? The next question is, are you okay to shake my hand? And you don't have to, because we have hand sanitizer, because I have to teach you all this. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. We got it. We're all getting hands. It's equal opportunity here. We all have hand sanitizer. Let's do this. So in Sierra Leone, how you actually greet someone, which is kind of hard now because they went through Ebola and then now we're in COVID, so it's like we all kind of can't be as close. But you greet someone by shaking their hand and say, Boa BCA. Boa BCA. So I want everybody to grab a partner beside you if you feel comfortable, and if you don't want to touch them, you do not have to. I asked permission if I could do this, so I got permission to do this. Okay, everyone stop. No, pause. Okay. Okay, great. Now, I'm going to do this with both of you. Come over closer. Sorry, we're supposed to be 6 feet apart, but we'll do this. Okay, so let's practice for a second. Boa BCA. So you're saying hello, how are you in Mende, in my family's language in Sierra Leone. You're saying Boa BCA. So this is how you do it. Does everybody have their partner? So you shake your person's hand. Boa BCA. Thank you. And then I'm going to ask, the person says, you're going to say, so I'm saying, hey, how are you? So I'm going to ask how they are. Kawiena. So say it again, Kawiena. So how are you? Kawiena. And then the person's going to respond, I am fine. Kawingoma. Now, this is the cool part. The handshake goes like this. Can you all see it? We're here. We're here, and then we go here. Can you all see that? I'm going to do both sides. Here, and then you go here, and you hear. How cool is that? All the way in Sierra Leone. How often do we like, hey, yo, what's up, right? Right? Nice, yeah. So, let's try it again. Boa BCA. You're shaking their hand. How are you? Kawiena. And it's I am fine. Kawingoma. Hand is here. I'm using you on this side. Hand is here. And then you go back to here and you say BCA way. So you're thanking them. And then you're thanking them for asking, and then you touch your heart in honor of the person you're speaking to. Thank you. Thank you for you too helping me. But I love that you guys came up and you were open to doing that. Now, wait a second. This is awesome. There's a quiz at the end of the day for that. I hope you all wrote that down. I'm joking. There's no quiz. But, but it's neat to learn about a different culture through food, through language, through all different ways of getting to know people, which is pretty awesome. Now, I'm going to pause here and see. Oh, I can take my mask off. Woo, thank goodness. I forgot. And see if you have any questions about anything that I spoke about. If you have any thoughts, it could be about Sierra Leone, the Disney movie, service, acting, whatever. We're also, if any of you are interested in in the blockchain cryptocurrency world, I don't know if any of you are interested in that. I'm hearing some. We're actually working with this amazing company out of Silicon Valley called Harmony, and we're partnering with them to create banks for the unbanked, because a lot of people in a lot of parts of the world don't have access to bank accounts. Another privilege, right, that we don't always think about. So Harmony is this amazing cryptocurrency, a blockchain company, and we're actually partnering with them. They're going to train about 1,000 developers in Sierra Leone to build on the blockchain, and they're actually going to be developing a banking system by using this blockchain, which is pretty cool. So if you want to ask me questions about that as well, everyone has different things you're interested in, so I just wanted to throw that out there. So, and I know there are some questions that you had from online or something like that too, so.
Yes, so here's what we're going to do for questions so that we can form a nice system here. If you have questions, we'd like you to stand up and head over in that area over there. See where Miss Oh, sorry, Miss. I always say people's first names, and I realize we're not supposed to do that. Anyway, you're going to head over there, and then you're going to, we're going to line up right on the side over there for questions. We do have some questions online, or if you're still not comfortable speaking them and would like to present them in the Google Doc, you're welcome to do so. That was in an email that was sent out yesterday. So I'm going to start with some questions that are on the live stream and are online. And as I'm going through those questions, please stand up and head over to that area so you can line up when we get your question for Princess Sarah. Okay? So I'll start with a couple of questions online. So the first question that I have here is, what have you learned since you've reconnected with your West African roots, and what motivates you to be who you are today?
What have I learned about after connecting to my West African roots, and what was the next part? What motivates
What
me?
motivated you to be who you are today?
What I've learned about myself is that there are so many different facets that make up who we are. I just want to get everybody back because I know some people are walking over to answer questions. And that there are a lot of intersections that make up who we are as people. The intersection, I am a woman, how I identify, I'm a woman, I'm adopted, I'm biracial, I'm African, I'm also part white American. There's so many. One of the things that I've learned is all the different parts that make up who we all are individually. And what's helped me to be who I am today is that I realized that there's so many things that are so much bigger than I am. My focus was so much on fitting in when I was younger. My focus was so much about being seen because I felt like I didn't look like everyone else in my community, so I was trying to fit in and be seen. And now what I'm realizing is my drive that I've always had, I can use it to actually do the work that I want to do that's so much bigger than me. So my goal, my brother and our goal in the country in Sierra Leone, and we're going to meet the president soon to talk about it, the president meaning in Sierra Leone, is to get clean drinking water for the entire country. And like I said, I didn't study this. This isn't like something I went to school for. I'm not an engineer. But what happens is if there's something you really want to do, you start sharing it with people and people will start showing up and help you because other people know how to do it. That's how we were able to do everything. Start a nonprofit that we've been running for 15 years, taking students to Sierra Leone, all these different things, doing an animation. I didn't know how to do an animation, but I really wanted to do an animation. And so I connected with people who know how to do an animation and we partnered together and that's what we're doing. So the same thing with the Disney movie. So what I've learned is that if there's something you want to do, you don't have to know how to do it and you don't have to be afraid to do it. You just have to tell people and people can show up and you build a team and make it happen. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take one more online. And
sure.
We'll go over to, remember you can line up by Mr. Renier over here, and we'll do some live questions. So one more online right now is, what is your ultimate goal now as a princess? Do you have a dream project that you would like to achieve?
Well, I think it's the water. Having clean drinking water in the entire country is a dream project, which is a huge, huge thing to do. And we're not doing it on our own. We're partnering with a lot of different organizations in order to make that happen. None of this stuff that we've been able to do is me. It's like it's a village of people making things happen. And that's really how things happen. So it's about the water. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, like, you talked a lot about how you want to work together with people instead of just going with assumptions and, like, thinking that you're helping them by just giving them what you think they need. But,
yeah.
Like, you really should build a relationship with them and, like, try to, like, cultivate that so you can work together. But how do you, like, go about building those relationships and, like, try to help people without making them feel like they're inferior?
Great question. Wonderful, wonderful question. What I would say is asking questions. What people love to often share about, depends on the person, but very often like to share about themselves. And if you start asking questions and really listening, like, tell me about your life. What are some things you like to do? Just asking question makes a big difference. So for example, this is not exactly because I'm talking to an organization, but I called an organization and the woman answered the phone and I said, our school, I was working with a school at that time, would like to connect with you. The Oakwood School would like to connect with you on a project, and I just would love to learn how we might be able, if you're interested, I would love to know what maybe we could do together, or what are some of the things that you're working on that we can maybe work with you on, or maybe be of support. And she stopped and she said, "Thank you so much for asking." And I froze. I thought, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And she said, "Another school called me and she said, 'It's Thanksgiving, right?' And I said, 'Yeah, it's Thanksgiving time.'" This was during Thanksgiving. And she said, "It's Thanksgiving time, and another school called me and said, 'Hi, we want to drop off 40 turkeys to you all.'" She said, "We don't need turkeys. We're good." But they didn't even ask me. They didn't even talk to me or want to hear from me. This was a woman at this organization. I don't remember the name of it. She said, but they made an assumption that, oh, these people must need turkeys. This is what this organization, so we're going to drop them off. And she said, "Thank you so much for actually asking and talking to me about this." So what I want to leave you with is really to just start asking questions. And I know sometimes we get afraid to ask questions because we're afraid we might offend somebody or embarrass somebody or embarrass ourselves for that matter. But I think sometimes when you just ask someone about themselves and really listen, that's when connections are made. That's when discoveries are made. And you really bring your own skills and talents to the table. For example, there were some young young men that I worked with at the Oakwood School. They were high school students, and they loved comic books. And they said, "Why don't we start a comic book literacy program for a local housing shelter?" Because the housing shelter said, "We're having trouble having kids read, and their parents are working extra jobs, and the parents aren't here." And so the boys were like, "Well, we love comic books. They need this. What if?" And then they talked to the community and said, "Do you think this would be okay?" They said, "We would love that for the kids." So they brought their own skills and talents to the table and learned how to partner and work together. So I feel like those are the keys of how do we connect, really asking questions. And then the kids read the comic books, they acted out different parts in the comic books, and it was so much fun. And this was started by 5 teenage young guys. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
That was very impressive. Thank you. I just have one more question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you connected with a bunch of organizations and people that had skills that you didn't have.
Yes.
How did you just go up to people and ask them, or if there's someone in Sierra Leone that or a family, because obviously your family connections, but let's say you didn't, how do you need to go about connecting with them and connecting with those organizations?
Yeah, great question. Online, I email people, and for example, one of the groups that we work on, we have a sanitary pad project because a lot of girls drop out of school globally due to their menstrual cycle. It's embarrassing to talk about, but it literally has girls not go to school in certain parts of India and a lot of countries around the world, things that we don't talk about. It even happens here in the United States, believe it or not. So one of the things that I started to do is I started to share there's a pad project, which you all should definitely know, especially people self-identifying as girls or women in this community. The pad project, or even if you don't self-identify, you should check out the pad project, because it's all about helping girls. And they did a documentary that's on Netflix. I worked with the students on this documentary, and it's on Netflix, and the high school students won an Academy Award for this documentary because they identified a need in the community, and they realized that these girls are dropping out of school due to their menstrual cycle. They did a fundraising campaign to buy a pad machine, and then they helped create a microeconomy within a community that they started to work with. So the women were selling these sanitary pads from door to door, and it created jobs for the women. At first it caused chaos because the men were like, "What's going on?" Right? And then it shifted. The conversation stopped, and the men in the community in this small village in India said, "Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. You're actually bringing in money for the community." So it really helped create an economy, but that's because it created a listening, because people were listening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm Bobby. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the speech you gave to us today.
Thank you.
I just had a question. I know you talked a lot about the impact that your journey to Sierra Leone had on the students that you took. I wanted to ask for yourself in your life, who had the largest impact on you?
Great question. Gosh. I feel like you just want me to choose one. Can I choose a couple?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's hard.
The first person is the first people I was thinking of as my parents, specifically my mom who raised me. She just made such a huge impact because what my mom would always remind me is that if somebody was rude or not that nice, my mom would always say, well, Sarah, we don't know what they're going through. And it wasn't always like, let's be mad at them. It was like, well, Sarah, we don't know what they're going through. And that was really special. My mom always taught me to think about people in many different ways, not just as a singular person, but that we're also multifaceted and let's figure out what's going on in their world. Another person who made a huge difference in my life was my acting teacher in ninth grade, Ms. Aduccio. Ms. Aduccio cast me as Snow White. I was cast as Snow White. Interesting. I was cast as Snow White in our school, like, huge show. And it was such an amazing experience to just be this lead role. And she cast it saying, okay, well, you're the actress for this role. She didn't care about what I look like, so I got to be Snow White. The other person who made a huge impact in my life was Dr. Maya Angelou. I had the opportunity to sit down with her and talk about A Princess Found. If you all don't know who Dr. Maya Angelou is, you got to look her up. She's actually just going to be on the new quarter. She's going to be on the quarter that's coming out in the next so many months. This is new news. I just found out yesterday. So Dr. Maya Angelou is going to be the first Black woman to be on the quarter. So before she passed away several years ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with her, 6 of us, for dinner, and she gave me a lot of support around the book, A Princess Found, and it impacted my life greatly. So yeah, and she was Oprah's mentor, so she's definitely a huge impact in my life. Yeah, I would say those, and Ms. Shabazz, who is a huge influence in my life as well. She is Malcolm X's eldest daughter. She was there when Malcolm X was shot, and all she does in life is she's of service to people all over the world. So we do projects in Belize and different countries together.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi. Here you are again. I love it. Good to see you again. Bobby. Bobby?
What?
What's your full name?
My name is
Harry. Aaron. Sorry, I need to get my ears cleaned out. I don't know why they're laughing. I'm glad you're here, Aaron.
Thank you so much. I just had a question. Like, during your time in the village, like, what was the most important interaction or memory that you had directly in the village that impacted your work that you have today?
I think the first thing that's coming to mind, is there was a woman who was pregnant in Sierra Leone, and a lot of women don't make it through childbirth. Sometimes in developing countries, they don't have access to the medical care. And I remember going to Sierra Leone in 2011 with students, and then going back in 2011 with my family, or was it 2007, one of those years. And I was so nervous to ask if the woman was still alive or the baby was still alive. And she was very far along. And they told me that the woman was still alive, but her baby passed away. And that broke my heart. And I knew if she was here in America, she would be fine. And so that's when we really started to do a lot of work in our public health area in Sierra Leone for women and children and the young men in the community as well. So that woman really impacted my life. And another thing that impacted my life was a lot of people dig wells to have clean drinking water. We go and turn on our showers, have warm water all the time, things I took for granted and still do from time to time. And they dig wells to get clean drinking water. We're working with a company to drill them now. Well, this little boy fell in a well and he died because it was too deep, because they were digging it, getting prepared. And had they had a different setup, he wouldn't have passed away. So that also propelled our work to get the clean drinking water in wells, and working with people and drilling companies within the country who can drill and make it safe for everybody to have clean drinking water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boa BCA.
Well, BCA, okay.
Sorry.
You get an A today.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I said that.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you. So, aside from your several trips to the villages, how do you know which issues to focus on through your charities without relying on assumptions of what the villages need help with?
That's such a great question. So one of the things that we do is we sit down with the community, the elders, the children, and actually ask questions and learn. And it was a hard time learning, because I have to admit, I went in like, oh, let's go do this with the school. And they were like, Sarah, when I first went to Sierra Leone, I said, oh, can I bring your students' t-shirts to my father? And he said, Sarah, we need desks. After the Civil War, all the kids are sitting on the ground. And I'm like, okay, my American mind really has no clue what's going on. I need to actually ask the question. So how we do it is we sit down with people from all different backgrounds to actually learn, not just the lawyers and doctors in our family's community, but we sit down with the elders, we sit down with people who are illiterate within the community, we sit down with the children, and we learned from them, from everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I know this is a bit of a sensitive topic, but how did growing up in a white community shape your perception on Africa, and how did it change after you went there?
Great question. Growing up in a white community and well, I don't even know, even if I didn't grow up in a white community, I'd probably still feel the same way, because our version of what I feel like we see about the continent of Africa is that every single country within this continent is always in war, is always in tragedy. I've heard people say, how do they show those videos and always get those two flies right on the kid's corner of the eye, which is real for some people, but it's not how the whole continent is. Not everyone is struggling in Sierra Leone, and to be honest, or on the continent of Africa. And to be honest, a lot of people are doing very well, but we only hear about the worst things. So I was actually sitting in actually had a student come to my office one time when I was working with students at the Oakwood School, and she was crying. And she was in seventh grade, and they were studying about Africa. And they asked, what are the assumptions that you have about Africa? And all the students started raising their hands. Poor, struggling, war, and like everything was just so negative. And to be honest, that's all the visuals we are seeing, that we're given. So that makes sense that people were saying that. The little girl came to my office, she's crying. She's actually a Black American, but she said all those little kids, all those women that she put up look like me. And everyone just kept saying poor and struggling, and they made these assumptions. And I actually talked to the teacher and I said, well, what if you ask the question, what are all the amazing things that you've heard about the continent of Africa, or a specific country in Africa? You might learn about resources, or there are a lot of minerals and gold, and there are all kinds of wonderful things. Coffee, like there are all kinds of wonderful things about the country. But we don't always go with asking and learning, we just make assumptions. Did I even answer your question?
My question was, how did your perception change, actually?
My perception changed because now I know, because I went to this developing country and it's my family, that I need to ask questions before I do anything, because I never know people's circumstances, and I never really know what's going on, and people don't really know mine. And unless we start talking and connecting with each other, things are going to keep going in a certain direction. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to stop there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, such a long answer. I'm thinking as I talk. Yeah. Hi.
So this is sort of a two-part question. One, how have people in your life, especially within Sierra Leone, broken down those stereotypes? And two, how have you reached out to them specifically with technology? And maybe you can expand more on the Roblox game I heard.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so technology. So let's see. I'm trying to think of which part to go. One of the things that what we started to realize when in Sierra Leone is that because of the 1991 to 2002 civil war that students went through, there was a huge lack in access to a lot of things, specifically technology. And a lot of times internet access is a huge issue, and sometimes it goes in and out, or they don't even have it in certain parts of Sierra Leone. Other parts in the city, they have it, things are kind of more thriving, but in the provinces, not so much. So we started working with World Hope? No, not World Hope, World Vision, and they have an internet port. And we started working with kids, so they actually started to learn to code with other kids from different countries and also kids in the United States as well. That's one of the things we started working on, which because of seeing the lack of having technology, I mean, you got to be so up on technology. That's the way the world's going. And it's not really fair to other folks to not have that opportunity just because they went through a war and it set back the country. Roblox. So the Roblox game is supposed to come out around April, and it's actually like kind of, I think, if I remember correctly, is we're looking at it kind of like the Clash of Clans. So you get to build and design. Ooh, I like that. Yes. Okay, I'm speaking your language now. We're connecting even more. So it's kind of like the Clash of Clans, and you're actually building and designing within different countries, specifically in different countries in Africa. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, I think there was a first part of my question. How have people, especially within Sierra Leone, helped you break down those previous stereotypes you had about the country?
I feel like I keep giving the same answer, but I think they've helped me. And not only they've helped me break down the stereotypes by seeing the beauty and the community that's in Sierra Leone blows me away. I feel like sometimes, and this is my opinion, I feel like in America we live in our own microcosms and we're very much to ourselves, and we're in Sierra Leone, and that's other communities do live in more community, but I think we're kind of taught culturally as in America to live on our own. And in Sierra Leone, I feel like it's just such a tribal community where everyone takes care of each other. And it's really beautiful.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
I just want to thank you because I know it takes so much strength and courage to be able to open up about yourself and your stories and your experiences.
Thank you.
But it's like your words are so profound, and it's really inspiring to see someone be able to come to terms with themselves in such a way. But I had a question.
Thank you.
Because I know that you said while growing up you constantly felt like you had to prove yourself, that you had to make it known that this was who you were and this was how you plan on seeing yourself grow. But how did your identity change when you were able to connect with your birth father and you discovered that you were a princess? Because I feel like that's such a big jump from where you were in the States to finding out this huge news that you're suddenly a princess. How did you see your identity and your mindset change? Did you discover anything new about yourself? Or how did that really impact you emotionally and helping you come to terms with yourself even more?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Great question. When I first found out I was a princess, I wouldn't even tell anybody. I actually got afraid of that term because my assumptions about princess was people who think they're better. This is my own story. Or people will think that I think I'm better. Not that I necessarily thought of all princesses as better, but people would think I think I'm better than them, or I'm dancing on diamonds and pearls all the time. And it's funny, when I talk to little kids, they're hilarious. They're like, do you live in a castle? And they're just so cute. And we have this home in Sierra Leone, a big family home, but it's not a castle. So I was kind of dealing with that, and I wouldn't share it. And it wasn't until 2016 when I finally started to own the title of princess and what it means. Because to me, it means responsibility. And to me, it also means like walking in my grandfather and great-grandfather and all of the other family members' footsteps. And it actually grounded me in who I am. So when I'm having a rough day, I'm kind of like, is it really that bad, Sarah? You know, because we're kind of trying to find, I kind of felt more grounded in myself. And the other thing about the title princess, I started to realize that growing up, I didn't have a lot of examples of people who looked like me in the world. And I realized that if I owned that title princess, which is true to who I am in my lineage, that could actually give other young girls a way to see themselves like, oh, I can be a princess, we exist, which is also why we're getting this into a Disney movie, because it's not even made up. It's not a made up Disney princess, it's real. So it's had me kind of stand in my power and get over my own fear, and own who I am. And to be honest, I'm still working on it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you. I love all these questions, this is awesome. Hi.
Hello again.
Hi again.
So you've done really amazing things in your life, and you've done so many different things in so many different branches.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask you, how do you go from, once you not necessarily finish, but get to a amazing point in a certain organization that you're working on, you get to an amazing point in that organization's development. How do you go from accepting yourself and being proud of yourself for the work that you've done, but at the same time, you have so many different things that you're doing in so many different areas, and how do you go between, obviously, like I said, like congratulating yourself, but also looking forward to new things to discover to help more people?
What an awesome question. Y'all have really thoughtful questions. I feel like you're in my head or something, because I've had, as an adult at this point in my life, I've actually had a hard time acknowledging accomplishments. I was always the kid I didn't tell other people this, but I'd go, oh, okay, I accomplished this, check, let's move on. I accomplished that, check, let's move on. And I'd say, oh, if you acknowledge yourself or applaud yourself, that's being cocky. That's what I used to say to myself. And so I would never acknowledge things. And so this is a really great question, because I don't want you all to do this, because it's so important to like honor your greatness and honor what you've accomplished, because I tend to not do that. And to be honest, this year is the first year I've like allowed at this age I've allowed myself, because I didn't notice I was doing it, to really acknowledge accomplishment. And the Trumpet Awards, which you should definitely all look up, reached out to me and sent me this beautiful letter. And they said, Sarah, you're receiving the Impact Award, which was actually supposed to be this Saturday, but they had to postpone due to COVID. But they wrote this letter, you are going to receive the Impact Award. This is connected to what you're saying. And we will be filming at the Dolby Theater, where we do the Academy Awards. The other past nominees of this award are Beyonce, Jamie Foxx, Janelle Monáe, Rosa Parks, President Nelson Mandela, Dr. Maya Angelou, Sidney Poitier, and I froze. I was like, this is insane. This is amazing. And I didn't know how to be with this acknowledgement. And for the first time, my family and community and my boyfriend said, let's have a party. Let's celebrate. So we had to postpone it due to COVID, because it was supposed to be this Friday. But that I even wanted to do that was a huge accomplishment, because it's so important. It doesn't mean go, hey, look at me, but we gotta take time to acknowledge ourselves. for stepping out on the skinny branches. Because when we acknowledge ourselves, there's this beautiful poem. I'll try to find it, and I can even send it to you to send to her and to anybody who wants it. But there's a poem about when we acknowledge ourselves and we let people see our greatness, then other people can see the greatness in themselves. Then that gives them permission. So there's something so powerful in that. So I'm working on that, and I dance between all of it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, definitely. That's really cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. One more. Awesome.
I think it's really amazing how you accomplish all of these projects, and I was wondering how you fundraise for these projects, and if you have any advice for students like us to raise money for our own projects.
Oh, that's a great question. You all are probably the best fundraisers that are out there, because if you put a GoFundMe or you create something for a project, your families and your family's friends will donate because they love you. You all can make more money than adults can, believe it or not, because you have a community around you. That's how the Oakwood students did it. They literally got a team of people together, a group of students, and they started a whole campaign to buy this pad machine or whatever. Maybe you want to make a movie. What are you interested in? What would you like to fundraise for?
Like technology.
Technology. What in technology?
Like collecting, reducing e-waste in the environment, to help the environment.
Awesome. So, number one, I would definitely email, and this is to piggyback on somebody else's questions, different organizations that are doing this, work to partner with them, because sometimes they might actually have it in their budget, but they need just somebody to run that, and you go, I'm a high school student, this is what I'm interested in, would you like me to help? And they may be like, yes, come in. And additionally, if you get some friends together or you start yours and start sharing it and emailing it with people, your community will donate to you and it'll go fast. Or you could also write a grant to an organization and they'll also give you money. I have no doubt you will get tons of money, whatever you need. I can tell.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Princess Sarah, I'm going to take a look and probably do one more question
Sure.
for our online audience.
Yeah. The online audience, because there's the camera right up there. Okay. Forgot there was an online audience. Hello, online people. Hopefully you're still here.
Okay. We have a few, but I'm going to try to condense them.
Yeah. And I'll try to not take so long to answer. I have long answers.
What work have you done in the women empowerment area in Sierra Leone? What are some impacts of that? And I'm sorry, one second.
Can I answer that one first?
Yes, yes.
The work that we've done is we've worked with the PAD project and Days for Girls and distributed washable, reusable sanitary pads to thousands of girls within Sierra Leone, so they can actually stay in school and have opportunities to keep learning and furthering their education. We've also had a lot of education programs around taking care of ourselves, hygiene, all different kinds of things around women empowerment, and healthcare. And let's see. And we've also helped with scholarships for girls to go to college. A lot of often families send their boys to college first. So we actually have started a scholarship program to help anybody who wants to go to college, but also making sure girls have an opportunity to go to school as well. Maybe I should look at the camera. I realize they're out there. It's so weird to talk to the people.
Yes, I can hear you from here.
Okay.
And I'm going to do one more.
Sure.
And this is pertaining to leadership. Sometimes there can be conflict with that, or what would it be like if people didn't welcome you? Did everyone welcome you? Was there anyone against maybe what you were trying to accomplish?
Wonderful question. And I feel like that actually goes to what somebody over here asked me about what we don't want to offend anybody. What if we, I'm thinking about this. I think my sister, I mean, we talk about this now. My sister, Jeneba, who I talked about, she was not too completely thrilled about me coming and taking a lot of the attention, because she was the daughter, she's the princess, and then I come in from America, and I got a lot of attention in Sierra Leone, and we kind of butted heads for a little bit. We are very close now. She lives in London now, and we moved through a lot of stuff, but I think we kind of went through a roller coaster ride a little bit together. But that's the only, I'm trying to think of anybody else. If people had trouble with it, they didn't say it directly to me. And let me tell you something else, y'all. Anytime you're up to something big, there will be the naysayers, or even if you're not up to something big, it doesn't matter. There will be the naysayers and the people who will try to bring you down. I was on CNN and Good Morning America, got thousands of interviews or emails. Oh, Sarah, Princess Sarah, you're amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then we have the nasty person who decides to say horrible things, bring me down, or try to bring me down, start a website, Sarah's a liar. I mean, amazing what human beings will do. I'm like, don't you have anything better to do with your life? Like, you know, but just so you know, when you're up to stuff, there will be those people who will bring you down, and just don't let them. And if, you know, if there are people who you see regularly in class who try to bring you down, don't let them. You're too big for that. You do not need that. And don't let it bring you down personally. Do what you need to do. Journal about it, whatever it is, to get it out. Talk to your best friend, family, but that's what I had to do. I had to deal with it because human beings can be really nasty to each other. And there will be those naysayers. And all the students who did the documentary, Period, End of Sentence, that won an Academy Award, it's insane the nasty people who came out and attacked the high school students. And I told them, I go, just be prepared, because that's what happens when you get national notoriety. People get angry, people get jealous, and people get mad. And I don't know why, but it's part of the way human beings were designed. We just can't let it get us down. So, yeah.
Thank you. Let's give Princess Sarah a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And just the last thing, I know a few of you still had questions or want to get involved. Where can we contact your organization?
Yeah.
Or contact your team?
Yeah, thank you. And normally I have a slide. If you're interested, our nonprofit's called Sierra Leone Rising. I don't know if you're allowed to take out your cell phones. Are they? Some of them already have them out. That's okay. So if you want to take it out, you can check Sierra Leone Rising. But also, all my information's on my Instagram. It's I am Princess SC. So I am Princess SC for Sarah Culberson. I am Princess SC. And you'll see a picture of me with a lot of feathers. Choose the one that has a lot more followers. For some reason, there are 2 accounts. So don't follow the one that has like 34 followers. Follow the one that has 32,000 followers. And also on the link tree on my Instagram has everything about Sierra Leone. It has everything about our work there that you can link to. All the upcoming projects, we'll be putting stuff up there about roadblocks. So if you follow it on the Instagram, you'll be seeing all of the updates that are happening. So it's I am Princess SC. And you'll see my head with a lot of feathers. I have a kind of headpiece on, headdress.
Thank you, Princess Sarah. Also, we have cards over here, so if you would like to take a card during our break, you may stand up and do so.
Yeah, it has a QR code on it, so you can scan it too. And if you want to get involved, there are tons of projects we can do with Sierra Leone. I've done a lot of work with students around solar lantern projects for kids in Sierra Leone that students have fundraised for. Whatever you're into, if you're into coding, if you're into water, environment, we can always work together. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up with Princess Sarah, I hope her story inspired you. We all have different stories to share, and we are all special in our own way. You each have the power to discover your own story. Let's start that now. Thank you. I'm going to hand this over to Mrs. Lurch for the rest of our day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You all are awesome. applause.